Now it's my pleasure to introduce our moderator for tonight, Conan Nolan.
Thank you very much. Dan Schnurr of the USC Institute, Just Rendezvous Institute, was supposed to be doing this. He couldn't make it. I'm standing in for him, which is a reason, if you're asking why somebody who's been with NBC for 33 years is on the CBS lot. I always wanted to see what the Mary Tyler Moore Street looked like, and we got to do it today. Questions I'll be asking are from you. They're not from me. I may have changed them just a little bit for the benefit of our television audience. But in any case, it deals directly, obviously, with the concerns of the neighborhood councils and the San Fernando Valley. But first off, let me introduce Sheila Kuehl, former member of the California State Senate, former member of the State Assembly. She was 14 years in the legislature, served as chair on a number of committees, including health, was the author of a universal health care bill that went through the legislature, was vetoed by the governor, but she was a champion of that issue and many others. Prior to becoming a member of the legislature, she was one of the co-founders of the Women's Law Conference Law Center. As part of that, she was an advocate for the rights of children, of women, and much of the activism she's had prior to getting into the legislature, so she's been involved quite a bit. Currently, she's one of the co-founding members of the Public Policy Institute at Santa Monica College, and is now, as a result of term limits, running for this office. Bobby Shriver is a former member of the Santa Monica City College. He was City Council, excuse me. He was once the mayor of Santa Monica. Before that, he was a philanthropist. He was a businessman involved in a whole bunch of different endeavors, many of them dealing not just with local issues, but those across the water in terms of fighting AIDS in Africa, as well as debt relief for third world countries. Very involved in mental health issues on the West Side in Santa Monica and for LA County. I have to tell you, as a political reporter, I'm not supposed to take sides. I'm very impressed with both of these candidates, and I think you will be as well. And you're lucky to have them, quite frankly, because it's not easy to run for office. But we'll start off with 1 minute. If you don't mind giving us a summation. Senator, we'll start with you. Why you, why now?
Why me, why now? Well, Conan has told you about the experience that I had chairing the Health and Human Services Committee in Sacramento, chairing the Natural Resources and Water Committee. I had 171 bills signed into law on a lot of different issues, the very issues that the county deals with. The county, as you know, if it were a state, would be the 8th largest state. And I think when the person who wins this election is sworn in on December 1st, they'll know that their first meeting is the morning of December 2nd. They need to be prepared, they need to be ready, and I think they need to be experienced in the issues that they'll be voting on that very next day. So I look forward to this debate. I thank you very much for the invitation. I'm really happy to be here with all the neighborhood councils. Thank you very much.
Why here, why now? Oh, we got it? I don't know. I know you'll tell me if I don't. Thank you all. I remember this debate from the primary. We did, I think, 20 some odd debates in the primary, and I remember this one very vividly because this was by far the most well attended. I like that because it's fun to see so many tremendous activists. I grew up in local government here. I came to many meetings where the neighborhood councils within Santa Monica met. I recognize some of you from some neighborhood council meetings that I've been to in the Valley. I'm thrilled to be here with you tonight. I've been to so many events and meetings throughout the Valley. I've learned so much here. And the number one thing I've learned in the course of the campaign, which we've been doing since, at least I've been doing since January, is that people in the Valley want their fair share. And I'm determined, I want you to know, I'm determined to try to do that in all the issues that face you in the arts, in transportation, and in healthcare. The Tarzana, decertification of the Tarzana Center under the rules announced by the board last week is a thing that really needs to be focused on for people who are working in that center now. So I look forward to hearing your concerns tonight from Conan. I hope that my experience will be an experience of local government. You'll see that how that would benefit you as your supervisor. I look forward to a spirited discussion. Thank you.
Too often members of the news media, folks like us, refer to the 3rd District as the West Side seat. it wasn't too long ago, people in this room, quite a few of them wanted to secede from the city of LA. A couple might want to secede from the county of Los Angeles. Let me ask you, dissuade us of the notion that the policy endeavors of the 3rd District are dominated by the West Side and that the Valley hasn't gotten its due. Senator?
Well, I can't really dissuade you of that notion because the Valley has not gotten its fair share. It's quite true. We have the Expo line about to be finished in Santa Monica. We have a plan for the Purple line going through sort of the Wilshire corridor out to the VA. And the Valley has the Orange line. Many people would like that to be more of a train, actually, something that would hold more people, go more places. There's no north-south line from the Valley, and there really should be. And frankly, it's in Son of Measure R, and it should be, because we need the Valley's vote in order to pass that and build a line all the way from the San Fernando Valley to the airport, which is something that I support very, very strongly. The other thing is I want to remind people that I represented this Valley for 14 years. I know it very well. I didn't really need a map to get here. And I am very familiar with the issues of the small businesses here who really need to see themselves as part of a centralized area to which people want to come, in which people want to invest. And I think that's a very important part. Certainly the Santa Monica Mountains, which runs all the way across, you know, it's not just on the western end, has been a very important part of the reasons that people have wanted to locate in the Valley and enjoy the many recreation areas. So I think that it has very little to do only with the West Side. Remember that it also includes Hollywood and Los Feliz, Atwater Village. Is that 30 seconds? Thank you. I'm sorry. A good thing I'm not colorblind because it doesn't say 30 seconds. And so I think that the many issues of the Valley are issues with which I have been happy to engage with you, to work with you, and to support you. And I look forward to doing that again. Thank you.
I can say for the record that I didn't need a map to get here either. There are a lot of things that as I said, I've learned. For example, the softball fields up by Sylmar are going to be closed unless certain things are done. Those softball fields are very important anti-gang exercises for the parents and kids that are in them. Boys and girls play on those softball fields. There needs to be a negotiation with the college about the use of the fields, and the county needs to step up with some money up there. It hasn't happened yet. Job growth in the county has been negative for the past 20 years, including, I think, all the years that Sheila served in the legislature, including important losses of film and television jobs. I favored increasing the film and television tax credit in this debate when I was here last time, and I think in the course of the debates, we disagreed on that. Although Sheila authored the original legislation, I think the quote that I remember was, Bobby, you're asking people to invest in a movie by raising the credit from $100 million to what I favored, which was $430 million, because the state of New York had $425 million. And I thought that the governor and the state should defend the film and television jobs relentlessly. Since that debate, the legislature has raised the amount to $333 million. And there's a new formula for that, which is an excellent piece of work by Senator De Leon and others to make the system better. However, it should be higher, and there's an area where I think we've had a disagreement on the amount of that financing and whether it's a good idea to do that kind of financing. That's a choice. Another choice that you have out here, as Sheila said, there's the Orange Line is a bus line. You haven't had money invested in turning that into rail, and the north-south connectors are not attached to the current transportation plan. That's because folks who were representing the area didn't get that done for you. So I think it's great if you say that you did represent an area, but you also have to take, I think, some responsibility for things that didn't happen in the area while you were representing the area. Right on time. Thank you.
Let me take this opportunity to say that you've gotten the applause out. We're not going to applaud anymore if you don't mind. The candidates are well represented both places. So let's, at the very end, we'll give them a big round of applause, but we'll keep it a little tighter. Along those lines, because you're, as a member of the Board of Supervisors, you're also a member of the Board of Directors for the Metropolitan Transit Authority of Los Angeles County. Mayor Shriver, we'll start with this. You sort of mentioned it. What priority do you make? What is the priority in terms of transit as the 3rd District Board member, and where does the Orange Line turn into rail fit in that?
Well, I think it's an incredibly high priority. I think one of the things I'm excited about is to work with Paul Krikorian, who's the council member in this area, who's on the MTA board, and others at the local level to find out how you all would prioritize your work here. What I've promised, and I think both promised at the Sherman Oaks debate, was to locate our principal field offices here in the valley and have our staffs out here. I intend to come over here, every day that I'm not going to the board meeting downtown, and listen at neighborhood council meetings to the answers about that question. But it's not just the Orange Line conversion to light rail, as you know, Conan. There's a whole system that needs to be put in place in the valley. One of the things that could be done in the near term was something that we had some success with in Santa Monica, which is to give students at the community and state colleges free transportation on the bus line. You show your ID, you ride any line free at any time. The current system, as some of you know, I see some people nodding their heads who look like they may be students, is you've got to go get a special thing from Metro downtown. You have a different form. You have to fill it out. You have to pay $19 a month. To me, that's ridiculous. I think although there's still traffic near Santa Monica College, I don't want to dissuade anybody that we solved the problem. Many, many students have used that transportation. There are 40,000 trips, I was told by the president of CSUN, a very smart woman, 40,000 trips a day in and out of CSUN. Imagine if some of those trips, a significant amount of those trips, went onto the bus line. We've only recently got an express bus over the pass. That happened in the last couple of months. So there are things that can be done in the near term that I like that I think would alleviate traffic, and in the long terms, in Son of Measure R and in the other financings that the Metro Board will do, I think you have to get a coalition of the council members who represent this area, of the state officials who represent your area, and make sure that they represent to the Metro Board the level of priority that the community wants.
Senator?
Well, I think I've already said that I favor a train for the Orange Line, and I favor, even more importantly, a line from the Valley to LAX. But let me say what is, in many ways, even more important. How many of you take the train or the bus rather than drive somewhere in the Valley? Excellent. How many of you don't? Well, I think our job is to get you out of your car and into a train or a bus. And how do we do that? I have an old Porsche. You're going to have to drag me out of my old car. I've been driving it for 50 years. And what I say is, if I can get me out of my car and onto the train, I can get you out of your car. It's something called first mile, last mile. How do we get you to a train so easily that you want to take it, rather than sit on the 101, forever, to get downtown and say, I wanted to see Dudamel, but I couldn't get there because the traffic was so bad. I want you to get wherever you're going. I want everyone in the county to get wherever they need to go, so they can live where they want to live, they can work where they want to live, where they want to work, and they can get there. So first mile, get you to the train. Last mile, get you from the train to wherever you're going. And more importantly, back to the train and home, which means it has to run a little later than it normally runs, because try to get home from the bowl on a train, they're closed. So to me, that's one of the highest priorities for the Valley as well. I want you to be able to get wherever you want to go, and if you don't want to drive, I want you to be able to do it. I want all of us to be able to. And just to correct something that was said about this film credit, Bobby was very generous and said I was the original author of the film credit. And the quote that he said about who'd want to invest in a movie did not come from me, but from my colleagues in the legislature whom I was trying to convince to vote for the tax credit. And I use that as an example of the kinds of things that you have to overcome in order to change people's minds and get them to be with you. And I'll do the same thing on transportation. Thank you.
Let me follow up, Senator, with you quickly. Is the ultimate goal on the 405 and the Sepulveda Pass rail?
I think the ultimate goal should be rail, but not only rail. There's some question about how we get to the airport. And right now, we don't have very many choices getting from here to the airport.
But most people don't go to the airport. They're just going to jobs on the West Side.
Well, the West Side, it should stop so that you could even actually go to the Skirball, to the Getty, to Temple if you want to get there in the middle at, at Leo Beck, to UCLA for a class, to the Westside for jobs, all along the corridor. I mean, the many beach cities where we also have a jobs corridor in there, all the way to, Long Beach if we could.
But Mary, is it a pipe dream? I mean, we're talking about a major investment in mass transit money.
Well, yes, I don't think it's a pipe dream. I think it would have to be the people who have studied it, and I've looked at their work very closely, have studied it, would need to be a public-private partnership. And the current idea that Metro is studying is tunneling, as I'm sure many of you know, under the pass and having a toll lane, which would finance the private sector capital that would be required to build it, and there would be a train going through the tunnel. That's the current, so it sounds like a pipe dream, but I know I've lived in Los Angeles a long time, and the idea that people would ride transit at all here, I thought at the beginning was a pipe dream. But I can say that I have gotten out of my car, and I go to Culver City and ride the train from Culver City to downtown LA, and it's a marvel. I mean, really, there's tremendous parking at the Culver City station, but it drops you off. It's really a beautiful thing. We need that in the Valley. We need a thing like that in the Valley that's easy to ride on, $1.70, parking at the end.
And you pay for that with a
tap card.
Well, an extension of Measure
Oh,
R.
excuse me. I'm sorry.
No,
Yeah.
I actually take.
I'm going to pay for it all with my tap card. Don't worry.
I've heard that.
I'm actually one of the few reporters who does take mass transit, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
His tap card, he meant, not his credit card. Don't.
I got a very large balance on my tap card.
But seriously, very quickly, both of you, I would assume, support an extension of Measure R. Senator?
Yes, I support it very strongly, but the Valley has to get its fair share, or the Valley's not going to vote for it. And I mean, that's just politics. So I want the Valley to vote for it because we say, I see what's in it, and I like that it serves us. It's going to be a very difficult thing, I think, to build all the way to the airport, but I think it's an important extension. The other thing is, I think we have to, as an aspect of first mile, last mile, not only have plenty of parking, but ways to get there that we don't necessarily have to take a car. A van system like they have downtown, or even a bus system that makes certain that it gets you to the train station and gets you home. But I do support Measure R, absolutely. Or Son of R, I guess.
Is Son of R. Mayor?
Yes. It's very important. I think Sheila's analysis is correct. It's a political question.